Music production is overwhelming. You've probably watched a ton of tutorials, you've spent hours tweaking your mix, and you still feel like you're not getting anywhere. Well, look, I've been there, and trust me, so has every producer before you. But what if I told you that the biggest thing holding you back isn't your lack of skills or your fancy gear, it's actually a handful of common mistakes that almost every new music producer makes. And if you don't fix them, they will kill your progress. So in this video, I'm breaking down the 5 biggest mistakes I see new producers making, and more importantly, how you can avoid them so you can start making better music faster. If you're serious about improving your music, then stick around, because the last mistake, that one nearly ended my music career before it had even started. If you're new here, hello, my name's John, and I spent over 20 years running my own business in the finance industry before diving headfirst into music production. I'm also a sports psychologist, which gives me a unique perspective on discipline, learning, and mental resilience, things that are just as crucial to a successful music career as having great technical skills. Now, why does all that matter? Well, learning music production isn't just about sound selection or sound design. It's about mastering a craft, staying consistent, and understanding how to turn your passion into something sustainable. That's where my experience comes in. Here on this channel, I focus on helping music producers and artists learn new skills the right way, embrace the joy of the learning process, and navigate the business side of the industry with the mindset of a seasoned entrepreneur. Should we get into it? So the first mistake I see is that every new producer wants to be unique. You don't want to sound like anyone else, right? You want to create something groundbreaking, some sound that nobody has ever heard before. But here's the problem. If you're too obsessed with originality, you'll never finish anything. You'll second guess every sound, avoid copying techniques from successful tracks, and get stuck in your own head. Worst of all, you'll never actually improve because you're not finishing songs, which is so important. Instead, copy the artists you love. Yes, copy them. Yet reverse engineer their sound, break down their arrangements, and recreate their techniques. Over time, your own style will emerge naturally. Every successful producer has done this before, so why wouldn't you? I've actually done a video showing you how you can learn from a professional track, and you can see that here. You start a track and it's almost perfect. You keep tweaking it, you mix it again, you rework the drop. A month passes and you're still working on that same track. Here's the harsh truth. Spending 50 plus hours on a single song won't make it a hit. In fact, it usually makes it worse. The more you tweak, the more you fiddle and overthink, the more you lose the raw energy that made the track exciting to you in the first place. So my advice is to set a deadline. Something like 20 hours max. That's from the start all the way through arranging, mixing, mastering, right? Finish that track in 20 hours, release it and move on. The more songs you finish, the faster you'll improve. Would you rather finish one track in 4 months or 16 tracks? It's a no-brainer. That's how you get better. I was definitely stuck in this trap for too long. If you look at my own Spotify for Artists, you'll see here, this is the last 12 months and I basically didn't release tracks. I was just reworking them. And then I decided, right, at the end of August last year, which is about here, I said, right, I'm going to do a track a month. And I've done 6 tracks in the last 6 months. And you can just see this consistency has led to an increase in interest and increase in streams. And so in the last 12 months, which is actually more like the last 6 months, I've had 250,000 streams here, 228,000 and nearly 100,000 listeners. That has just come from being consistent, finishing tracks, getting better. Before moving on to mistake number 3, I'd love it if you could like and subscribe to the channel so I can keep making content like this. Thanks very much. Right, let's check out mistake number 3. It's tempting to believe that buying a new plugin or synth will magically make your music sound professional. Now, you can just see I have totally done this myself, but I've also learned from my mistakes. But despite me having all this fantastic gear here in my home studio, my biggest track to date, I Want a Healing, it has 60,000 streams in the last 6 months, and it was made on my computer, mostly with stock plugins. I didn't use any of these synths here. And here's the thing, there are loads of stories about the best producers who made a banger on their laptop in their bedroom just using stock plugins. People have released hundreds of hit songs using only what comes with Ableton, FL Studio and Logic. If your mix sounds bad, a $200 plugin won't fix it. Instead of chasing gear, master what you already have. Learn your DAW inside out. Push stock plugins to the absolute limits. When you truly need something new, you'll know. But until then, save your money. And I've made a whole video about this that, again, you can check out here, about you don't need all this expensive gear. And look, I know that is hypocritical of me because I have all the expensive gear here and I love it. I have great fun playing with it, but you don't need it to make great tracks. That's the point. Maybe you've got a folder full of 8-bar loops. Maybe you've finished a few songs but are scared to share them. Sound familiar? Tell you what, I've got hundreds on my hard drive. Look, check this out. Look at my hard drive. Right, so I have this file called Sketchbook. This is every single Ableton project I've done since I kind of started in 2021, taking it a bit seriously. And every folder is either a month. Actually, it is a month. I started doing it by month. So every folder is a new track. And I've got, what, 5 to 10 in each month? I've got hundreds of tracks here. Some of them may be great. Most of them aren't. You know how many I've released? 11. 6 of those are in the last 6 months, and they're the ones that have actually done anything. So I'm as guilty of doing this as you, but listen to what I say and frankly what I'm doing now. I'm now committing to releasing 1 track a month until at least the end of next year to see what happens. And here's the truth, unfinished songs don't count. If you're not finishing and releasing music, you're not growing. You're stuck in a cycle of starting, doubting yourself, and then abandoning the tracks before they're done. Most music producers stay in that cycle. And if you're having fun and that's the goal, that's fine. But if you want more than that, you have to force yourself to finish and release music, even if you think it's not perfect, even if you think it's not good enough, even if you think most people will hate it. Share it on SoundCloud, share it on Spotify, or even just with your friends. The feedback you get will push you forward way faster than endless tweaking in isolation. It's too easy to do this music production gig on your own, in a room, without any human contact, without any feedback, and that just doesn't work. When I started producing, I thought I could just feel my way to a great mix. I'd balance levels by ear, I'd tweak EQ blindly, and I'd hope for the best. I watched hundreds of YouTube videos trying to teach me to do this, but you know what? YouTube videos don't have your ears, they don't have your studio, they can't hear what you hear. So what happened? Well, my mixes were awful. They were thin, muddy, nowhere near professional. I just couldn't figure out why. I kept doing them again and again. I've got like mixed version 10, 12, 25. They're all awful. Then I started using reference tracks and everything changed. Trust me, load up a professionally mixed song in your DAW, turn it down to match the volume of your own track and compare it to your mix. Pay attention to how loud the bass is, how loud the kick drum is, how much does it punch through, how clear are the vocals if you're using vocals, how are the highs, do they sparkle, are they slightly dull, what kind of hi-hats are they using. Pay attention in particular to the separation of the sounds in the mix. I think this is the key. Which sound is taking center stage at what point in the track? Then you can use EQ, volume automation, stereo width to get some really clear, separated sounds and balanced mixes for your tracks. That's when things really start to sound professional. It's only when I started doing this consistently that my mixes instantly improved, and so will yours. You only have to listen to my 11 released tracks on Spotify to demonstrate this. The mix of the latest tracks is so much clearer than the early ones. The early ones, all the sounds are sort of the same intensity, the same volume, and so as they build up, they just kind of clash and interfere with each other. Now, I could take them down, but I want that record of improvement on Spotify out there so that I can see and I can go back, and so I know, yeah, look, I am improving, and each track I do, each mix I do, I think gets better, and it'll be the same for you. If you fix just these 5 things, you'll level up as a producer faster than 90% of beginners. And here's the thing though, knowing this isn't enough, and most of you will do this. You'll watch this video and you'll do nothing, but you've got to take action. I would encourage you to go right now, open your DAW, pick a track and finish it today. It's not that hard. If you've got some time, just get there and finish it. You'll learn so much just by finishing that track. And if you want to take your production even further, check out this next video, which YouTube thinks you'll like. And YouTube is pretty smart. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.